One of the critical problems that we've identified, and I want to focus on this one, is the problem with CDs containing radiographic imaging studies. For most of us, and I'm sure there are many in the audience, who see patients with multiple types of imaging studies as part of their initial evaluation, this is really a nightmare. You get handed 1 or 2 or 4 different CDs. They all have different operating systems, different controls and tools to view the images. Each one requires many minutes to load, and some of them may not load on your computer at all. It often takes, in a complex patient, 15 minutes of the consult just simply loading the CDs. And this has been something that the physicians or nurse practitioners historically have often done because of the complexity of the CD loading process. This is a typical workflow that we have in the clinic. The clinician, you can see on the left, loads a CD, and then you have to wait, sometimes a minute, sometimes 5 minutes for CDs to load. When you go to the next CD, you have to unload this one, therefore you can't use it for comparison to the next CD, and load the next CD, and this process is repeated over and over again. Now, with new technology that's become available, particularly VIEW1 we're using from GCQ with KARL STORZ, it's so much easier to load the CDs. They get loaded into this box. It's a rapid cycle CD loading device that then allows our medical assistants, it doesn't require the nurse practitioner anymore, certainly not the clinician, allows the medical assistants to load the CDs either ahead of time if they're sent in by mail or by hand when the patient comes into clinic, and the CDs rapidly are loaded and then become viewable in a uniform user interface so that we can rapidly scan through the imaging studies and really understand what's going on with a patient and avoid this problem of patients coming in with the wrong CDs, doctors spending a lot of time sticking CDs into the desktop computer and then searching through the CDs for the appropriate images, and sometimes finding that the computer doesn't read the CD appropriately. It's now possible to have the medical assistant load all the CDs into one user interface. I'm now looking at one user interface that has a list of my patients, and as I click from one patient to the next, I can see all the imaging studies listed for each one of the patients in clinic, and then I can, and they're preloaded on the computer. I'm not waiting for the CD to spin, and I get a very much facilitated and accelerated image review session before I go in and see the patient. So the CD nightmare has been resolved by this kind of application for us. It's been greatly facilitated so the medical assistants can help us in clinic, and this really is the physician CD handling time per clinic or per patient really. It's gone from as much as 2.5 or 3 minutes in per CD down to about 10 seconds per CD. Now, when I look at multiple complex patients in a long clinic, there may be 30 or 40 CDs to review, and this then makes a very appreciable difference in my daily workflow. So technology in this sense, the facilitated CD loading and review, has been tremendously useful in step one, the clinic visit, when I have to look at these images in parallel. Furthermore, we now have the ability to look at those images once they're loaded into this system, into the VIEW1 system, look at these images on my iPad. As I travel around the hospital, I can refresh my memory about and review all of the images in this system loaded by CD or in our institutional packs on an iPad portably through wireless data transfer. Same for an iPhone. Through cellular data networks, it's possible for me to review this information on handheld devices wherever and whenever I might need to take a look at the scans.